Evan Wells, welcome back to the podcast, man. It has been a while, and it's nice to see you again, but I gotta be honest, brother. Matt's gunning for your spot. You know, the fans were talking. They really liked his charm and demeanor. He wasn't as vulgar as you, as they say, and he really is trying to move you out of that chair.
Listen, I've proved, son, without a shadow of a doubt, he doesn't have what it takes to be on this show. I've been on this show co-hosting it with you for 6 damn episodes now. He wants to sit there and he wants to thump his Bible and say his prayers, and that doesn't get him anywhere. Talk about his Psalms and talk about his John 3:16. Well, let me tell you something, Zach. Evan 3:16 says, I'll whoop his ass. And that's the bottom line, because the legend of the bluegrass says so.
Under attack, always coming in last, bringing up the past. No one owes you anything, I think. You need a shotgun blast, a kick in the ass, so paranoid. Watch your back!
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 8 of the main event. This is the legend of the bluegrass who loves kicking ass, Evan Wells, and I am back on the show after a week's sabbatical, back co-hosting with my tag team partner,
the whiskey-drinking, hell-raising Hoosier heavyweight, Zach Mendenhall. How are you lovely people doing out there in Radio Land today? Hopefully better than what we are. Oh, man. Shall we just go ahead and jump into it?
Yes, we're doing a double beer review today.
We weren't even going to do a double beer review. We're being forced because I unfortunately picked a beer from Dark Horse Brewing Company out of Marshall, Michigan, and the artwork on it looked great. It's supposed to be a regular Indian Pale Ale, and the name of the beer, which is hilarious, is Smells Like a Safety Meeting, and it's got all these big noses running around, and it looks great, and dear God, does it taste like shit.
We're trying to not puke as we drink it. It's literally, when you taste this, it's like going into an HR meeting. Like, the nose is going into the HR meeting. They sit you down. You get the flavor that rolls through your palate. And then they let you know that you're being in trouble for sexual misconduct. And then as it
on
goes...
another man.
on another man. And then at the end of it, as it goes down your throat for that ending finish that beers have, the aftertaste, it's realizing that shit, I've been caught. That's how bad this beer is.
It's wow. I mean, we've honestly had a few beers on the podcast that we haven't been fans of, but never anything that we didn't even start the podcast and said, no, we can't finish drinking this. It's that I don't want a second one. I don't want the other 4. It is brown sugar.
It is brown sugar. It is exactly like Lagunitas. It doesn't taste like Lagunitas brown sugar, but it's on the same level of hatred. But I will say that brown sugar, I think because maybe it aged longer in my fridge for about a month, that I was able to use it as shower beers, in the morning. So damn. We have that going for me. You guys, everyone needs to have like a shower beer. Like, shower beer isn't meant to be...
That's like Rolling Rock, man. You know what I'm feeling like,
Yeah, I mean, like, I have Rolling Rock is a good, like, regular beer for me to have. I mean, it's a nice American Pale Ale, but, it's... shower beers aren't meant to be like your Hop Slams or your really fucking good beers, or even bourbon for that matter, which we're going to talk about an excellent one later on the show. But it is, you just want to have like a regular beer or something that you just hate and are just going to chug real quick to get you a nice little buzz going while you're cleaning your little bits.
All right, so fuck it. Let's go ahead and jump on the other one that we're going to try because we're having to make an audible, if you will. It is Shades of Grey, not 50, just Shades of Grey. Black and white India Pale Ale. 6.7% alcohol by volume. It is out of Louisville, Kentucky.
It's from actually Against the Grain Brewery. It's in Louisville, Kentucky. These guys, a little bit of information about them. I've had a couple of their beers. We actually picked these up at Beverage Barn over in Henderson, Kentucky, where our buddy Matt Watson works at, who was gracious enough to cover for me on the podcast last week. Despite what Evan316 says, Evan also forgives and lets go. So we're going to crack these beers open and see what we think of it.
The artwork's cool.
The artwork is very cool. Oh, and the tidbit of history on this, too. So something really neat that they do, a lot of their artwork is just meant to be fucking hilarious. There's...
Mucho bettero.
Mucho bettero.
This is much gooder, in the words of one boss that we've had.
Much gooder.
Much gooder.
Yes, it's against the grain. They usually make pretty good beers. Their artwork is usually meant to be funny and appealing to the eye. That's probably why a lot of people buy their beers. That's obviously why Zach bought this Dark Horse one, which is shit.
Yeah.
But it's a...
Go ahead and take your swig, bro.
All right, I'll take me a swig.
It's an actual collaboration between them and Magic Rock Brewing, located in Huddersfield, Kentucky.
Oh, that's much better.
Yeah, like-minded. We are inspired by the boundaries of modern brewing, and this beer is a testament to that philosophy. Drink up, wankers. It's an amber-looking red IPA, but it is far better. Far better. So I will enjoy drinking this for the rest of the podcast and trying to wash my mouth out with that. Oh, Jesus, man. I might go give the neighbors dogs and hope they die. I'll feed them that Dark Horse shit.
Yeah. And, it's weird because we've had several Dark Horse beers before that have been really good. But this IPA, that's just god-awful.
Yes. So let's get to the real work at hand. We have tonight's WWE Fastlane, the last pay-per-view in the lead-up to the road to WrestleMania, which now we sit back and wait for a month for both shows.
28 days.
28 days
later
to get to WrestleMania Sunshine, as I'm going to start calling it, because it's in Florida.
Yeah, it's Fastlane had its ups and downs. Before I get into my opinion, general reaction from the crowd, from people on Twitter and on Facebook. First half of it wasn't so great. You had a lot of grudge matches, basically. You had Samoa Joe, Sami Zayn. You had from 205 Live. You had Noam Dar,
the Brian
Kendrick, Rick Swann, and
the Japanese dude that we can't say his name.
Yeah, who just showed up on the show not too long ago, which, to be honest, we don't watch 205 Live that much because it just hasn't been that interesting to us. Neville is really still the only highlight other than Gentleman Jack, which they also had a match too, which was excellent. The finish was awesome. Mm-hmm. A lot of those grudge matches were... They settled scores that had been building up as a storyline ever since Royal Rumble. Another match that happened, you had Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman, which I thought was a good match. It settles that score.
It was a good match, but here's my issue. We'll go back. We'll go in somewhat linear fashion. All right. You had Samoa Joe in his first WWE pay-per-view under the Raw banner taking on Sami Zayn, which is a good first opponent. Zayn can go. They both went. The striking for both opponents looked great. Joe come in and still looked like the bruiser that he has been. I liked the match. For the most part, it was a good way to open up the show, and it was a respectable finish with Joe getting the win, which you expected it to happen with the Coina clutch. Then you move into what just seemed to be filler match after filler match after filler match. I mean, we had everything from literally a New Day promo to,
which was pretty funny. It was just them saying, "Hey, we're going to be the host for WrestleMania."
But then you had the Rusev Jinder Mahal garbage that led up into two different matches, which was Jinder Mahal getting beat around like a drum by Cesaro.
Who, it's weird because that man is obviously on steroids.
Listen, look up Gyno. Just Google search Gyno and then look at Jinder Mahal this pay-per-view. It's bad, kids. Whatever WWE's wellness program is, obviously he hasn't been piss tested in a little bit because that shit's probably nuclear.
I'm sorry.
You had Rusev versus the Big Show. As we've already talked about in the last couple of weeks, Big Show looks great. He's in outstanding shape, even for a man getting in his age and as big as he is. He's lost 70 pounds. He just looks phenomenal. I didn't like that either match. Both matches saw the guys who were feuding, the Jinder Mahal and Rusev, lose. And Rusev's a damn good heel and could be even better, but it seems like they go up and down with him. He was undefeated and beaten on freaking John Cena for a while. And then he goes to nothing, and then they gave him a short run with the tag belts. And then he had the U.S. belt, and then, they just don't know what to do with the cat. And I think he's too good of a heel just to let down at the bottom of the card.
No, I don't think that they don't know what to do with him. It's kind of like I've told you before, Rusev to me is a stepping stone match. If you're booked against Rusev, typically it's to... depending on how WWE wants to portray you, it's either to take you to the next level or put you below him for the time being. And kind of he's a benchmark,
But if that being that case, then he should have still beat Big Show to keep that going. Because Big Show, being the wily veteran that he is, there was no reason for him to win.
Okay,
there was really no reason for him to come out and wrestle. It didn't make, are they going to continue that storyline? Doubtful.
I think they needed something to do with Big Show for WrestleMania because typically he wrestles Shaq most WrestleManias. And he did last year, and he's not going to wrestle him again this year. Shaq said he wasn't going to do it. So, and for people who don't understand and only watch wrestling, I'm talking about Shaquille O'Neal, who was the ridiculous all-star center for the Los Angeles Lakers back when Kobe Bryant played for him.
Originally the Orlando Magic, and then he was on the Celtics and the Suns and the Miami. He was a well-traveled guy.
Yeah, but he is most known for being first in Orlando, but then sticking around with Kobe in L.A.
Winning a few and then winning one in Miami, yep.
Yeah, so... that's kind of what you had going on. I really think, again, Rusev is a stepping stone, and with Big Show being a veteran and being who he is, I can accept him beating Rusev just to kind of reestablish that benchmark. The Big Show is still the Big Show. He's a big, bad, 7-foot-tall behemoth.
I got you. I'll allow it. So, but you had a lot of other filler matches. You had... And then the matches that did mean something, like you had Big Cass and Enzo Amore taking on Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows from the club, and there just didn't seem that much of a story behind it. You have not seen the club in any tag action. They've been in 2 weeks in a row. They were on 2-on-1 matches, which made 0 sense. And they retained their titles, which I thought was appropriate because I don't think WWE's gave the club a big enough push. But also, it was a good heel way they won it, which we've talked about before. They didn't necessarily cheat to win in a sense, but they were definitely covering one another's asses, which I enjoyed because Enzo Amore got just drilled with a big knee from Carl Anderson. He pins him for the 1-2-3. Amore throws his leg up on the ropes, and Luke Gallows jumps in and shoves the foot off the ropes before the ref can see it to get the actual win, which made sense. I like the way it was done.
It's definitely developed that tag team as a heel, which is good and is what they should be. They look the part. They should play that part.
Get away from the comedy aspect of them. Those two should go in there and just beat the crap out of them, or beat the crap out of people.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. You see with tag teams in general, this happens with a lot of titles for the tags, is that you have always, it seems, no matter what, there's some sort of way that the tag team weasels their way in to win. Like, even though New Day is a face, a lot of times they have that Freebird rule, or Xavier Woods would always kind of help his people find a way to win their matches, and of course did they tie it, or they have the longest tag team? I think they tied it. No, they had it a day longer. Yeah, they had it a day longer.
So here, I'm going to interject here real quick. I'm going to say something about the fast lane crowd, the front row, which you see the majority of the night from the camera angle. You have a guy in an awesome Finn Balor outfit from what you can see from the head up. Great makeup on. He's got probably a custom-made headdress. to look like Finn Balor. That was cool. Then you have another guy about 5 seats over that looks like he's Amish. If that's the case, you're not supposed to be here. I'm going to tell you that right now.
I don't think they even believe in electricity. Like, how's that?
Well, here's the thing that's cracking me up about these front row people. It's like, listen, if you're sitting front row to a legitimate pay-per-view, that shit ain't cheap. We're not talking $150. This is a major stadium in Milwaukee.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's where the Bucks play.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
And it's a packed house. You're talking 40, 50,000 people, probably. And, like, these people are sitting front row, and they just look like nerds and gutter trash. Like, there's some losers there.
Maybe that's like they save up their money towards the end of the year to go to the end of the year pay-per-views. Because, I mean, Fastlane, you would think, would be like a really good precursor to WrestleMania and set some stuff up for you. And while that did kind of happen in this one, it's still, you would expect it to be pretty big, like as the main events go on. Of course, there's bigger ones that were better this year, like Elimination Chamber. I think Hell in a Cell was pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Let me touch on this too. We're rewatching Fastlane just so we can kind of give you some heads up. Samoa Joe has some of the best just pure striking. It looks extremely believable with his jabs that he does and his kicks. Obviously, you can tell by some of the guys they actually connect. Mm-hmm. It looks really good, and I enjoy that. Because then you take someone like, we'll go with Braun and Roman Reigns both. Some of the punches they threw tonight were just weak sauce, man. They were wide, airy, and they didn't connect a freaking, not even a hair. And I hate that shit. Hate it. Which we'll get to a bigger flub in the Bayley Charlotte match. I don't know what the hell happened there. Well, that's really probably the most, excuse me. Speak on Jack Gallagher and
Gallagher.
The gentleman Jack Gallagher and good old Neville, which they need to change his name.
No, leave it as Neville. He's the king of the cruiserweights. I like it. But no, the Jack Gallagher Neville match was, I think, something that definitely saved the grace of Fastlane because it was an excellent match. You had Jack Gallagher doing his normal gentlemanly ring wrestling, getting tossed up into a turnbuckle and hanging upside down, and anytime he got approached, sticking his foot down, just doing the normal stuff that he does, being Gentleman Jack. He played off his his blows, like taking a blow and then getting hit very well, or hitting his opponent very well, I meant to say. Neville, of course, who is a shining star of the Cruiserweight division, was just awesome. He was throwing Jack Gallagher around the ring. I don't know the name of his finisher that he does from the top row, but it was something that he hasn't done in a long time.
Red Arrow.
Yeah. And I don't even know how to explain it, like what he did, but the finish to that was electric. It definitely got the crowd rolling, because I would say that was about a little over the halfway point.
And it was done from the middle turnbuckle, too.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Well, yeah, I mean, Jack Gallagher was in the middle of the ring, and Neville, he's big. Like, he is muscular and toned for being a cruiserweight. He got so much airtime and did so many twists and flips in the air. Like, I couldn't fathom what he was doing. I don't even know what you call it. Obviously it's called the Red Arrow. But, man, that was just fucking awesome. Like, I was sitting there, Zach got these new recliners and couch in his home. And, I'm sitting here as comfortable as I am trying to stay awake because Fastlane had been kind of boring up to this point. Like, I saw that happen, and, like, I got up from my seat, and I was just like, God damn. I was like, that is amazing. Like, how can a guy that big do all that in the air? I mean, it was, AJ Styles we've talked about a lot, being a little bit older as he is, has a lot of good aerial acrobatics. But, man, Neville took it to a whole other level. It was like jumping and doing a front flip and spinning in the air and then landing on top of Jack Gallagher for the finish. It was exciting. It's what cruiserweights should do to finish matches, do something amazing like that. And hats off to them. Their match was definitely one of the best of Fastlane, I think.
Yeah, it was probably the match of the night in my eyes. You go forth, you see what continues on. We'll jump to the Charlotte and well, slash Sasha Banks, slash Bayley, slash Nia Jax, slash most of the women's division on Raw. But initially it was Charlotte versus the current champion, Bayley,
My girl.
for the Women's Raw Championship. And the match was decent. I was not the best that I've seen out of either of the ladies. There was a couple flubs. I don't feel like their timing was all that great. The striking wasn't crisp. And whatever the hell happened with Bayley not being able to actually do the maneuver she was trying to execute. Like, she had
Charlotte on a turnbuckle.
Yeah, in the Tree of Woe, what they call it. So Charlotte's legs were caught up in the turnbuckle and she was hanging upside down. And Bayley was supposed to, what I can only expect, was jump off the second or third rope and do some type of elbow drop type maneuver onto Charlotte. And she went for it twice. Like, started to set up and backed off twice. And then when she went the third time and actually executed the maneuver, she missed her by, about a foot and a half.
Yeah, there was definitely some communication. I couldn't tell at first if it was supposed to be like Charlotte trying to struggle to recuperate and then Bayley having to weaken her some more. That's what I thought at first, but then when I saw Bayley miss the third attempt at it, it was just like, I don't think they practiced that maneuver enough, or there's a miscommunication.
Here's what I think it may have been. I think maybe Charlotte was supposed to go up into almost a setup-like position, like trying to set up to get her feet untucked, and Bayley was going to come off an elbow dropper, but Charlotte just hung upside down the whole time.
Yeah, whatever it was odd. Of course, the end of the match ended with Sasha Banks interfering after Bayley had told Charlotte last week, keep Dana Brooks, outside, don't let her in the ring. Of course, Sasha came in and helped Bayley. I don't think it was set up that way because Charlotte is very much still a heel, and I don't think that Bayley's trying to turn heel. I think it's one of those situations Sasha Banks is just kind of jumping in on her own.
Yeah, but the thing I don't like about that is that's twice. That's once to get Bayley the championship on Raw. Now it's at the pay-per-view. It almost is discrediting Bayley a little bit of a clean win. And what it come down to is Sasha's interference wasn't like she hit her or anything, but she broke up a cheating maneuver for a pin and then called the refs out on her again for another cheating maneuver. And that's what allowed Bayley to have Charlotte distracted and roll her up for the 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, it's more of like Sasha was keeping Charlotte honest, which kind of, it goes two different ways for me. It's like, you shouldn't interrupt the match, but at the same time, if Charlotte's going to cheat and you can call her out on it, then okay, I guess I kind of get it. But, a lot of people, some people were saying, well, Bayley's trying to cheat on it. It's like, well, I mean, that's what Charlotte does. I mean, she's just like her daddy, lie, cheat, and steal your way to the championship, whatever it takes.
For her 9th or 10th reign in the last 3 months as the women's champion.
Yeah, but what is nice, and I'm glad that they did do this, is that they did end her pay-per-view reign. I honestly, I do like that because it is way too fucking early for Charlotte, even though she is a Flair. Her dad was 16-time world champion. For her to have such large accolades already, it's one thing to have a title and to hold it for a long time, but it's another thing to already have racked up so many title championships and reclaims.
It's 4?
Yeah, it's already 3 or 4. Mm-hmm. And then in pay-per-views, I mean, it's like you're trying to make her... They're almost trying to make her like the women's Undertaker, like never losing a pay-per-view, of course.
She was, 16-0 at pay-per-views.
Yeah, now she's 16-1. And it just wasn't... She's good at what she does, and she's definitely the headline of the women's division, which isn't saying, like, she's good and she's worthy of that, but it's also at the same time not saying much because the other women that you have aren't really up to snuff. They're trying to build up Nia Jax, which Nia Jax I think is more of like the Goldberg of the women's division because she's really only useful in squash matches. Like, she wrestled Sasha Banks tonight, which Sasha Banks inevitably won. But
God, that was a rough match to watch.
yeah, because the thing is all these ladies, and no disrespect to Nia Jax at all, Nia Jax is a big woman. Nothing wrong with that. You do you, girl. You're in the WWE, all props to you. But these other ladies out there, they're less than half of your weight, and they can't do maneuvers. They can't flip you around. There's a lot that you can't do. It would be like having a young Rey Mysterio wrestle Brock Lesnar,
which I believe happened.
It probably has happened.
And you know exactly what happened there.
Yeah.
I know Ray went up against Batista a couple times, which is kind of the equivalent, and he got slung around like a fucking rag doll.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like these little man versus big man, David Goliath matches. And it's for the women, it's not that exciting because they're very limited on what they can do against a very large opponent. And, you just can't. It's a strike fest for Sasha Banks. She pretty much has to, sneak in a pin, which, Zach and I were talking about. It's the only way she can win this. She can't do, any of her submission moves. She's literally too small to do it against Nia Jax. And then you have. You have her sneak a pin at the end. Just luckily as Nia Jax is trying to, I don't know if she tried to powerbomb or what the hell she was trying to do, but she gets underneath her legs, catches Nia Jax off balance, and then rolls up for, I don't know what the pin's called, but it's where you have their shoulders pinned down and you put your hands back behind you and you pretty much are holding them down with your own body weight for a very complex pin. And that was that. I mean, it wasn't really that interesting on Sasha's perspective. Now, kudos to Nia Jax because she can do a lot of moves that the men do just because she's very big. She can powerbomb a chick if she wants to. She can be a Braun Strowman and just pick him up by the hair and throw him from one turnbuckle to the other. She can do all that, and it's a nice highlight for her. But I mean, hell, what are her opponents going to do? What's going to happen every match. How about she's going to lose or how she's going to win.
Yeah, it's who's going to go up against her. Now, here's the thing with that: the only one that is matched to go up against Nia Jax, I think, correctly, would be Charlotte Flair because she is a stronger, taller female and has a better build. The other girls are not as big as those two, and Charlotte is an athlete. Nia is a larger woman, a larger build, regardless of the weight that she has. She's just a bigger gal. She'd be the only one. Well, there's two heels, so you can't do that. Not really, unless you slap the freaking belt on Flair again for the 5th or 6th time.
Which she'll probably get it again,
yeah,
I'm sure.
But, why would you want to do a heel versus heel? I mean, it's happened before in the past, but it would be
neat to see. I would be interested in seeing that match happen, regardless of how they make that unfold. But still, just like women's division, it's for Nia Jax to have an opponent that's either going to be squash matches or she's going to lose in some complex, sneaky pin.
Yeah. It's disappointing to see because you had such good matches between Sasha and Charlotte for the last year. And you've had good matches with Bayley and other opponents to now see they've kind of deviated. Not that they fell off. I mean, every match can't be a 5-star match, but it's a little rough.
Yeah, it definitely was. I was hoping more for the women's title match, but I'm definitely, because Bayley is my girl, I'm glad she still has the title belts. I'm a hugger, Bayley, in case you're listening, in Evansville, Indiana. Look me up sometime. Just saying.
Let's get to the real point. Let's get to the real point of concern so we can move through the rest of Fastlane. Who the fuck put Roman Reigns in goddamn cross trainers tonight? Here he is in a tactical vest and tactical pants like he's about to do a SWAT raid, and the camera pans out, and this son of a bitch is in Nike cross trainers, and I'm going... Are they on the plane with Stephanie? I don't. Did he leave his? Did someone steal Roman Reigns' boots? Was someone pranking him in the back? Because he looked like a fucking nerd. He looked like a Uso, and that ain't good. And I know they're related, but that shit ain't good right now.
Dude, I've been telling you the entire time during Fastlane, he has those J's so that he can get more air on his Superman punches. If you notice tonight and look at all the other videos of a Superman punch he's ever had, he got at least another 2-3 inches on his vertical for that Superman
he had
punch.
his tongue out. That's why,
That too.
He was letting the tongue hang. No, seriously though, that match between Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman did not end the way I thought it should have, and that's because WWE continues to push Roman Reigns, which is fine, but they did such a build-up of Braun Strowman over the last few months. And to have him lose at Fastlane against Roman made zero sense to me. I would have much rather have seen Strowman get the win at Fastlane with the type of match that they had, in Roman throwing everything he had at him numerous times, like he did tonight. He hit him with umpteen spears and about 37 fucking Superman punches. And then
23 punches because of the J's.
Oh, yes, 23.
Or 45, whatever.
Yeah, I'd rather have seen them do a rematch at WrestleMania.
Or 12.
With the... Shut up, goddammit. With the outcome being different at WrestleMania and Roman Reigns getting the win. I just don't think it was fair to Strowman and the character development, even though he can get past it. You can never bury a guy off of one match. Strowman did a great job. He still looks like a fucking mountain of a man and a destroyer. I just didn't like the fact that Roman won the match, and it's not even that I don't like Roman Reigns. I'm not a huge fan of him. It just didn't make any sense to me.
No, it didn't. I don't know. Part of me thinks that they are building him up for WrestleMania because I think he's going to end up having a match with, I don't know, maybe Undertaker, because they haven't really found someone to wrestle him yet. Undertaker's a possibility.
I don't think Taker will be at WrestleMania this year, man. I just don't think he's in good enough health to do it.
I think he will be. Why wouldn't he? Other than health.
The biggest thing that you got, other than that, and the fact that the old fucker can barely walk, we saw that in the Rumble.
You wanna go ahead and talk about people that have a hard time walking? You just want me to go ahead and you want me to just jump into that wound real quick?
Let's see.
The Universal title. Okay, so here's the deal, and we've said
I'm
this.
going to go ahead and take a nap, kids.
You take a nap, because I'm going to be on this for a minute. I've said this several times on our podcast. It is fucking stupid to have part-timers carry belts. I hated it when John Cena had it for that small time on SmackDown, and I fucking hate it now that Goldberg has the goddamn Universal title.
We have seen him 5 times in total. We saw him twice on Raw, maybe 3 times on Raw. We saw him at the Royal Rumble.
We saw him at Survivor Series.
And now at Fastlane. So 5 times, 6 at max. And in that 6 times, he's wrestled a combined 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes.
Yeah, and here's the bullshit with all that. And Zach and I were worried about this because of how long Fastlane was going.
I called it, man. I called it a couple weeks back.
Yeah. Literally, Kevin Owens was playing his mind games and whatnot, and it made me more on edge because I was like, fuck, dude, I don't want to see some bullshit squash match because this is going to make Kevin Owens look weak. It literally, anyone Goldberg goes up against, it makes him look fucking weak.
Well, here's what I don't understand. So help me with this. Why is it that only Goldberg's finishers can seal the match with 1, while everybody else in the WWE has to hit their finisher 5 times? Even the Golden Boy, John Cena, has to hit 3 knuckle shuffles, 2 attitude adjustments, an STFU, and fucking the Hulk Hogan leg drop.
STF.
Whatever. You can shut the fuck up. All right? But Goldberg hits a spear and a jackhammer, and it's 1, 2, 3. I don't get it.
Yeah, well, maybe it's like old man strength. You know how when you become a father, all of a sudden you know this more than I do, but when you become a father, that you can just start picking up, washers and dryers with one hand to get your child out from underneath it. Maybe it's old man strength is what it is. It's just, he's got 2 kids. He has a very beautiful wife, whatnot. He's 51, 52 years old. maybe he's just that old now and his body and his muscles are so tense, he's just ridiculously strong. It might even be retard strength. Who knows? I mean, it could be anything.
He's so simple-minded, he can just focus on 2 maneuvers and do it all.
Yeah, like, it's like, I don't know. It's like having, if anyone's ever watched Dragon Ball Z before, it's like Goku dropping a spirit bomb on your ass. And it's like, that's what Goldberg does every time. He has jackhammer spirit bombs.
Which sounds like a great maneuver in the bedroom.
The
jackhammer spirit bomb. You hit that once, game over. She's finished, you're done. Everybody's sitting at the bedside smoking a cigarette.
Your bedroom turns into SeaWorld and you just entered the splash zone. So yeah, anyways, that match, Kevin Owens is doing his little mind games, going in and out of the ring.
And it was very smart. I like that setup.
Yeah, and he even did a moment that made it intense where he walked over to Goldberg's family and just looked at him, and like that, Goldberg in the ring, like it made him get riled up. It made the match seem believable. Well, then he gets ready. He's like, all right, let's fight. Ring the bell. Ring the damn bell. And then Chris Jericho's music comes on. KO gets distracted for 5 seconds, gets hit with a spear, hit with a jackhammer, 1, 2, 3, and
Goldberg's
it's
Universal
over.
Champion.
Yeah. Which is dumb. Because, again, Goldberg was good back in the day. You know, he was exciting to watch. He was mostly in squash matches. His matches didn't last very long back in the day.
Well, that's because they brought him in as an answer to the Stone Cold era, because he had a similar look, so they brought him up and in the heads at WCW to really more or less try to, have someone on par with a Steve Austin. And he looked good and powerful, but he hadn't had any real training, so that bit him right in the keister.
Yeah, and it just sucks watching part-timers have belts because, again, I've said it several times, these guys that are on the main show, that are on the roster and are there all the time, I mean, they work hard for what they do. Just because Goldberg, because of the name, because he's on WWE 2K17, all of a sudden you're just going to fucking strap a belt on him. Like, it's fucking stupid. I hate it. I don't want to see Goldberg with a belt. I love The Undertaker. I don't ever see The Undertaker with a belt ever again. 1, because he's old as fuck, and 2, like he shows up at WrestleMania, maybe one other pay-per-view during the year, and that's it, just to pick up a paycheck.
Yes, I agree. You know what? I'm looking on WWE Shop again, and I sent Evan this earlier this week. They come out with a Finn Balor Club replica jacket to just switch gears, and it's like the leather motorcycle jacket would be the best way to explain it.
I mean, it looks really good. Yeah.
And Evan was actually contemplating buying it. It does look pretty fucking slick, dude. Just saying.
It's actually dropped in price. It was $170.
Well, there you go.
It's now $140 for anyone who might be interested.
Hey, $140. That's not bad. You could buy a lunchbox, the all-metal lunchbox. People are big into collecting that shit. Like, who would have thought? Like, to me, I mean, it's cool. Like, I like the idea of it. It's neat little memorabilia you can hang up and everything. I don't know.
I think the only T-shirt I would get, though, would be like the Balor Club T-shirt, because it is pretty legit. And it's not over the top. Like my Bootios tank top, I'll always wear working out and whatnot. Probably wouldn't wear it in public as much just because it's very, very crazy as far as its design goes. But like the Balor T-shirts are pretty legit. I would definitely wear those out to a bar or whatever because they do look cool. I mean, yes. You can pull pussy in a Balor Club T-shirt.
There you go.
You heard it here first.
You heard it here first, kids. So getting back to the task at hand, Goldberg is a Universal Champion. We called it weeks ago that the WWE was going to go that way. Neither one of us are a fan because he's a part-timer, and honestly, I would like to see any of the younger guys have the belt like they've done with Bray Wyatt on SmackDown, which obviously, if you watch SmackDown, just to really touch on that, and then we really got to move on, it's going to be Randy Orton, Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania. That's determined. Even though him and AJ Styles are going on for like a number 1 contender match this week. I see Luke Harper interfering, and AJ and Luke Harper having a match at WrestleMania.
Well, let
and
me
they've
tell
had
you-
a couple good ones too.
Let me tell you something that excited me about that episode on SmackDown this week was that
It's a better show
SmackDown has been a better show
all around.
all around for the past couple of months. The thing I like, though, is that I've always enjoyed whenever superstars do something outside of the ring. Kind of like back in the day, you had like anyone who fought Vampiro was in a fucking graveyard, which you think people would fucking figure it out by now, that when you fight Vampiro in a graveyard, you pretty much get your ass kicked or buried in a grave somewhere. So it was cool to see like Randy Orton show up on the screen outside somewhere and light the house on fire that Sister Abigail was buried underneath, and basically telling Bray Wyatt, hey, I'm coming for you. Like, that was a huge, huge momentum shift as far as that rivalry goes. We all knew it was going to happen, but how it happened, how they executed it was excellent.
Yeah, no one saw that turn.
Yeah, no one saw it go that quickly and do what he did. Like, we didn't picture that happening in our minds.
So, hey, WWE Creative, you got something right for once, you fucks.
Yeah, so I expect like that side of WWE to be really good. So I'm looking forward to that match at WrestleMania, which I do think after, even with the number one contenders match, I think it will be Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt, because I feel like you just have to at that point. AJ Styles, I love him to death. One of my favorite superstars on SmackDown. But this opportunity that they have in the storyline, it seems too good to pass up. To keep building on for 28 days.
I agree with that. So let's go ahead. Let's step away from the world of pro wrestling and get into the other things that we've had going on this week. You've been gone for, well, technically 2 weeks, if you will. Last week, you went on your sabbatical and weren't on the show. And this week, we've had a lot go on, including a tornado in the local area, which was very unfortunate for the people who were affected by it. Hopefully everyone made it out all right and your stuff's being taken care of. I do want
to say with the tornado and everything that happened, just to kind of give you guys insight, like on the way I am about tornadoes. Like, I love storms. Most people from the South enjoy storms. Like, you sit out there with your grandmother, and a tornado could be fucking rolling by. At least it's this way in Kentucky, and we'll just watch the tornado like we don't give three shits. I assume that Hoosiers are the same way. But something I like as well that the community did do here was they do a cleanup every time a bad storm happens?
Yes, but there was a lot of outside companies, landscaping companies, tree removal companies that come in and did work for free for these people. And it's good to see them gather around and help, because a lot of the people that are affected may not have jobs. They may be retired. They may be elderly, and they need that kind of help. So it's good to finally see someone in this world do some damn good for once. So
it was definitely very nice. They even had a community cleanup Saturday morning. I think it was at 6 or 7, and a lot of people showed up for that, which was really cool.
So, hey, from us here at the main event, we'd like to say, if you're listening, you know any of the people that were affected by it, God bless you. We hope we can, hope things start going better for you. If you were one of those people that were out there that were lending a hand, or the company that was, hey, same thing. Awesome job, guys. It warms our hearts and gives us a tad bit, and it's only a tad bit, of faith in humanity to see that people are willing to, do something for others that they don't even know.
You guys are the real MVPs of the world for sure. We need more good people like that, because, to be quite honest, there aren't that many good people in the world. So for those of you that are, we definitely thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
Absolutely. So moving on, where do you want to jump first? We got a few things that are just great.
I want to talk about Pappy. Can we talk about Pappy?
Yeah. Well, hold on. We'll lead down this rabbit hole. So, obviously, we had Matt on last week.
Yes.
Matt works at Beverage Barn. They're in Henderson, Kentucky.
You guys definitely, we have to give a big shout-out to Beverage Barn.
That place is awesome.
If you live in Henderson, Evansville, Owensboro, Newburgh, and the surrounding area to those, take the time. Get on Google Maps, Apple Maps, hop on Google, Safari, whatever fucking search engine that you have. and Google the Beverage Barn for Henderson, Kentucky. Not Henderson, Nevada, Henderson, Kentucky. And go there, and I'm going to tell you why. So I lived in Henderson for a good portion of my life and went to high school there. When I turned 21 and I came back from Lexington, I used to get beer there a lot, and it used to be just a regular liquor store. You'd walk in, it looked like an itty-bitty little barn. Had a really good selection, it was a nice place to go get your beer. That place has turned into, in my opinion, like the next level of liquor stores, because you don't see that around this area at all. You can walk in there now, and not only can you get a very awesome selection of craft beer, wines, bourbons,
which was cold too.
Yeah.
Which a lot of times, and this drives me fucking nuts with other places, so I'm gonna jump in. So one up on you guys, Beverage Barn. But a lot of the goddamn liquor stores you go to, they have their craft beer and the shit sitting on the shelf. Motherfucker, I ain't coming to buy some hot ass beer. If I'm rolling in your motherfucking store, it's because I want that shit cold and I want it now. Pretty much everything they had on the shelf at Beverage Barn, they also had in the fucking freezer, which was the fridge, which was great, because I'm gonna look and go, yeah, well, if I'm picking it up at 7 a.m. to go camping, it's got some time to cool down.
Yeah.
If it's 7 o'clock at night, I ain't trying to grab a sixer off the shelf that's fucking room temperature. So thank you for that, guys. That's awesome. Yes. And I had a huge selection of shit I hadn't even seen before.
Yeah, and to continue on it to where they even take to the next level, they also have a whiskey bar. It is a bar that has several craft beers on tap.
I think it was about 5 or 6.
It's about 5 or 6 beers on tap that were all craft beers and all good selections. Even the Lagunitas one, yeah, I think was pretty good.
Now those rotate, do they not, Evan?
They do rotate, yeah. So they rotate pretty regularly. They had, Founders Breakfast Stout, Dogfish Breakfast Stout. They had Czech Pill from Lagunitas.
And then the one we had, which was fucking glorious. Oh, Evil Twin.
Evil Twin from Falco.
The one I had was Hopsecutioner.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, that ranked real high up there with my favorite IPAs. That son of a bitch was just so tasty and mellow, and it just went good. And considering what Evan's about to tell you we were drinking, you needed something like that to wash it down.
Yes. So, Pappy Van Winkle, which I'll actually, because you introduced it to me, because I knew a little bit about it, but I saw the price of it once and didn't even bother looking again, because I thought I would never get to taste it in my life.
Okay, so we spoke about it on the podcast before with Matt. Pappy Van Winkle is actually made by the Buffalo Trace Brewing Company, or distillery, that makes Buffalo Trace bourbon, which I've talked about before. That's kind of the lowest end bourbon. I've actually got one sitting on the bar back there that I will buy. I really like the flavor of it. So Pappy Van Winkle is their uber high bourbon, and it's aged to be considered Pappy at least 15 years. So last night we had the 15-year and the 23-year. To buy a 23-year bottle of Pappy, because it is released in limited quantities, it's going to run you about $3,300.
Yeah.
So I bought an ounce, and thanks to my loving wife who got me a gift card out there. An ounce of it was $50.
An ounce, people. I want you to just imagine going into a bar and getting your favorite bourbon, and you only get it by the ounce, and they say, "All right, boss, $50, pay up." You look at that and you're like, "What the fuck did you just say?"
Now, before people go, "Oh, Jesus Christ, that's super expensive, that's ridiculous." Listen, this is the kind of bourbon, much like your higher end stuff, that when we talk about sipping bourbon, that's what it is. You're not taking a gigantic mouthful. You're not going to pour a glass that has 6 ounces of it in it and just sit back and just slam it in 10 minutes. Because if you do, you're not going to like your life.
If you take Pappy as a shot,
you're an idiot, and I hate you.
You're stupid, and I hope that every time that you walk into a store, that the headphones that are in your ear get wrapped around the doorknob and they get yanked out of your ears.
I hope you forget that you're plugged into the computer every time you stand up with your headphones in and you yank them out of the port.
That is the type of deplorable human being we think you are if you just take shots of Pappy just for fun.
And it's not even that the price; it's just that good. So we'll say this: we started off with a 15-year. We had our another buddy with us named Gabe, who turned out to be a pleasant surprise. I think we're going to probably have him on the show if he'll come on. He's another Matt Watson, if you will, I think, in hiding. He knows a ton about bourbon, a ton about beer. He's just a real quiet, laid-back guy. Nonetheless, we all had a round of the Pappy 15, and it's hard to explain unless you're a bourbon person. The smell of it was really, really good. The bouquet, the best way to put it, very oaky, very, just full, right in your nose. This is a no ice, no water kind of bourbon, guys. This isn't something you dilute anything with. You sip it, you let it set in and enjoy it.
Yes.
And the 15 was 107 proof. And for anyone who knows alcohol, 107 proof is going to be rough. Except for this shit was not rough. It was really, really fucking good.
Yes, it was delicious. The full embodiment. There were a lot of complex flavors. When you drink it, you're thinking with something that's over 100% proof. Like Zach said, you think it'd be rough. It was not. It was smooth as a whistle. I mean, you took a drink of it. It was warm. When it travels down your palate and into your throat, it was warm. It didn't have a bad aftertaste to it.
There wasn't a lot of burn to it.
Yeah, it just.
you're gonna have a little bit. It's 107%.
You're gonna have always a burn, or if you perfect it, you're going to have a warmth when it comes to bourbon.
But it wasn't Wild Turkey 101 where you're just like, and my fucking head's on fire.
Yeah, like if you take Wild Turkey, like you can do that and light a match and then just blow, and then you can breathe fire.
Yeah.
But with Pappy, it wasn't that way. But the piece de resistance was when we got to try the 23-year.
Thank you, Jen. I love you, baby.
Yes, thank you, Jen, very much, because, man, oh man. It's by far, and Pappy, if you research it, listen to people talk about it, Pappy Van Winkle has a shit ton of hype around it.
Yeah.
It's, people call it the messiah of bourbon. Like, it is what you should have. It is. Yep. It's hard to get. Liquor stores can get it pretty easily, but they won't sell it by the bottle because
no one's going to buy it.
Well, yeah,
no one can afford it. Yeah.
So the taste
was. We'll even back up for a second.
Yeah.
So to explain this, the 23-year, and we had a glass of 15 sitting there, and we picked them up. The smell test was so different. Like, that sitting there for an extra 8 years, it mellowed. I think it was at 87%, something like that. I mean, it mellowed out quite a bit. But the smell was so much calmer, if you will. It didn't hit you right in the face as much. And then
it was like having like a warm candle, like that you pick up and smell, like something that just. It had a I don't even want to say oak. It had like a woodland smell to it. Mm-hmm. It was like if you were out in the woods and there was like a slight maybe burning of wood. Does that kind of describe it, you think?
But the taste, the complexity of it. So it went in, and it's almost overwhelming. It's one of those when Matt talked a few weeks back about Hop Slam and saying it was a palate destroyer. I didn't quite agree with him. I thought it was really good. Pappy 23 overtook everything, and it overrode it for a while. Like, literally, as scary as it seems, like a little sip, and you sat there and you enjoyed it, like my tongue went a little numb.
It does. It's the best way, like I described it. I took a sip of it, and my mouth, my tongue felt numb. There were so many complex flavors going on, and even after it went down. But it was pleasant. Like, you know how some people think numb, and it's like, oh, my leg fell asleep. Now the blood's going to rush back, and this is going to be a son of a bitch trying to walk.
No.
But no, it's like that pleasant numb, like if you were taking a small little anesthetic. Like, say you, I don't want to compare it to getting your wisdom teeth taken out, but no, I'm just saying, like, let's just say that you're an anesthesiologist and you get a little bit of anesthesia into your tongue, just spray just a little bit on there. That's what it felt like, and it was pleasant. It made you feel relaxed immediately. At just the snap of a finger, you were like, oh, goddamn.
But I will say this. It was definitely, for me personally, being a bourbon guy, if you drank Pappy Van Winkle, even the 15-year on a regular basis, it would ruin you to every bourbon you ever had for the rest of your life.
It would.
It would literally burn you out to anything else that you picked up that was not of that grade. Which is horrifying because I like bourbon. I don't necessarily care for cheap bourbon, though I'll drink it, but I like bourbon in general, and to think that there's something like that could just tear you up,
and I was thinking about it because I lied awake that night. We also went out to Time Out to see one of our buddies for his birthday. And
spending $4.25 for a Fat Tire.
Yeah.
Fuck me.
When is Fat Tire $4.50? But anyways, Zach and I went home after a couple of hours, and I laid in my bed. And I thought about Pappy because I had told a bunch of people about it, and like people didn't believe me that you could get it in Henderson, and it's a big deal. Like people who know about Pappy, like even the littlest bit, like they lost their shit because Henderson, Kentucky is a small town. But anyways, I was laying in bed thinking about it, and I tried to think of comparisons for it, and I think I understand now why people do hard drugs. So let me explain.
Oh boy, let's make the connections here.
Where I'm jumping to that end. So you have your gateway drugs, like you do like weed or
weed's not a gateway drug, and I've never even smoked it.
Weed, it gets you there. Like it's one drug that you try on to the next. Like when you need a bigger high, that's when they're like, oh, I got to try something else. But it was like, you take weed or you take pills or some shit like that, and then you do like heroin, and then you get to I don't know anything about drugs, but you get to like the hard stuff like cocaine, and like that's what people get hooked on, and like they have to have that. Pappy Van Winkle is like that. I'm never gonna have a bourbon again that is going to taste as good as Pappy did for that 23-year. Like, I just won't until they come out. They're coming out with a 25-year in a few months.
Yeah, supposedly they're coming out with a 25-year. Now, my interesting take on that is are they just letting it age 2 more years, or are they going to switch barrels on it?
That's going to be like meth. That's where it just destroys your life, and I spend $4,000 on.
No, I'm pretty sure it'll have a skull and crossbones on it, and then you take one shot and you just die. You go into the ever after. Yeah. Which leads me to remember when we had a talk a couple weeks ago about having a beer, and I told you I said I developed a beer. Listen to me here, folks. I got this great idea. Me and Evan are going to develop a beer, and we're going to naturally have melatonin in it. And the melatonin is what helps you go to sleep, right? So for us night shifters. And that's going to say, here's my slogan. This is going to be great. You're going to love it. Have you had a bad day? Have a good night. And that's going to be the name of the beer. And the only thing you're going to see in the commercial is a dude with that beer in his hand, snoring logs in his freaking recliner, sitting out on the deck, sitting at the bedside. Have you had a bad day? Rough day at work? Have a good night. One beer.
I want it to have, which I can't say the full joke on here because it involves a word some people don't agree with, but the Kevin Hart skit where he's talking about I think it's his cousin or his uncle. He's like, "You ready to go night night?"
Yeah.
Like I just want Kevin Hart to say the full joke to that. Like, "You ready to go night night? Drink this beer."
Assed out, sound asleep. It'd be great.
Yeah, like that would be amazing. I would love that. That'd be so cool. But yeah, that Pappy Van Winkle is just. Please, if you live in the tri-state area, drive to Beverage Barn. Please see our buddy Matt Watson. He will take care of you. Let him know actually when you go in there that you are coming because you heard the main event. We're trying to work out potentially, just promos with them just to promote ourselves back and forth, kind of get the show out some more. And we also want to promote Beverage Barn as well, because they are legitimately, in mine and Zach's eyes, probably the best place you can go to get craft beer and to get really good bourbon. We have never seen anything like it in the area that we live in. You've got nice liquor stores like Varsity Liquor or Frontier or Liquor Locker, and they're nice. You can go and get your beer or whatnot, but if you want just an experience that is unlike any other, you need to go to Beverage Barn. It's small town. The people that have been working there have worked there for a long time. The same two ladies that have been there selling people beer have been there since I was at least 18. I probably shouldn't tell you that I've been in there since I've been 18, but yeah, they've been in there a long time. So that's at least 7 years worth of experience that they've had there. Plus Matt's been there for, I think, it's been there a year or two now. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's definitely just a whole other experience. You should definitely try it. You're doing yourself a disservice if you don't.
Absolutely, I agree. Now, I'm going to go on with the semi-poll question of the week. And we took this at work. I didn't have time. I had a lot going on this week to get it out there. And please, if you're listening, comment on this for me. I want to hear more about it. The question popped in my head the other day. I went into a local gas station to get a drink. And they're set on the rollers some fucking crusty-ass, nasty-looking hot dogs and some of those fucking greasy, meat-filled, cheese byproduct-filled tornadoes. And the question that stuck in my head is, what is the worst thing that you've ever, in necessity, bought and ate at a gas station? Now, it had to be something that they made, like hot. It couldn't be a bag of chips that you bought the wrong ones and they were stale, or bought some fucked up shit like that. It had to be something they legitimately made. Now, Evan, I'll let you go first. I'll run through some stuff that some other people had, and then I'll throw in mine. What have you bought that was absolutely just atrocious?
So the worst thing I've had is actually those tornadoes that you're talking about. Most of the time when I go on road trips and things like that, I've usually prepared myself with snacks or what have you, and it usually works out for me. But I was running, I was leaving from work one day, and I was super hungry. I'm starting to bodybuild, things like that, so I'm trying to get in about 35,000 calories a day.
3,500. 35,000 would be incredibly ridiculous.
No, it's 35,000. Let's be serious. No, 3,500. It's actually 3,540 if you want me to be exact for those bodybuilders out there, because I do lift. But I was really hungry. I was like, I need to get me something to eat, something quick. I don't care what it is. And walked into the, I think it's Huck's is what it's called. Walked into the Huck's over on 41 and had one of those tornadoes. And it is like having a 3-week-old
burrito.
Not a burrito, it's a egg roll.
Oh, okay.
That's what it tasted like. Because, you were telling me what was in them, and I was like, no, I tasted it, and that's not what's in it. It's supposed to be, like cheese and meat or whatever. It tasted like there was stringy shit in there. It might have been shoelaces. They have dogs in the back that just chew up shoes, and they take the shoelaces and stuff them in there.
Silly string.
Yeah. It's like the
confetti.
The spider. Remember, how they used to have the Spider-Man web shooters back in the day?
Absolutely.
There's probably that webbing in there. That's what I imagine.
So I've fell in that trap before in necessity. I bought breakfast ones that were it was cardboard grease.
Are you talking about the ones at the Hucks?
There's more places than that sell them, and they're bad all around. Now, I'm going to go off with some of the top ones that other people at our fine work establishment had. One guy, and whatever crazy reason why, had bought an egg salad sandwich. Now, one, I don't know who the fuck eats egg salad in the first place. I love eggs. I love scrambled eggs. I love hard eggs. I love hard-boiled eggs. I'm an egg fan. I ain't eating goddamn cold egg salad. It just sounds nasty to me. It's like mayo and mustard based. That's just no good, son. And he bought it, and it was like prepackaged, and he said in the little triangle squares, and it was just horrible. And my thought process is like, that's how you get AIDS. That's how you get Ebola, some super virus. It's some like 4-month-old fucking egg salad sitting there. You take one bite, and boom. You remember the scene off of Raiders of the Lost Ark?
Yes.
In Indiana Jones, where they finally crack it open and hail God down. That's what happens. You take one bite of that sandwich, and your goddamn face just melts the fuck off. And then we had a twofer. We had 2 different people who apparently went to the same fucking place because they bought a corn dog, which doesn't sound bad.
Okay.
But it was a chili cheese filled corn dog, which means the hot dog inside was filled with the chili cheese. Now, one person bought it, and he said the outside was hot and the middle was fucking ice cold, which is horrible and disgusting. And the other person got it fully cooked and said it was still horrible and disgusting. So there was no win there. We had a couple people say they bought some undercooked chicken, like the Broster's chicken that you always see across the country, which, typically that shit isn't all that bad. I've had before. Like, it's not the greatest stuff ever, but it's usually not that bad. It's bad if it's not cooked, though, because it is actually real chicken. Like, I worked at a gas station in my former life, and, like, it's legitimately, like, flour dredged fried fucking chicken.
When you say in your former life, do you mean like you're reincarnated, or
no, like prior to everything I did to the military, like when I was a teenager?
I thought you were going to say you had a second life, because that's a whole other thing I would want to ask you about, and how you even know.
I mean, we could talk about it. But,
Oh, so there was. Okay.
No, absolutely. So we had some raw ass chicken, and a lot of people were throwing out there, they had shitty hot dogs and things like that, which I don't understand how you fuck up a hot dog, but a place like that can definitely do it.
So, at that Huck's where I've got the Tornados, are they called Tornados or Tornadoes?
No, they're Tornados.
Okay. So, they had another thing there that I've had a couple of times, and I only have it because sometimes I'm short on breakfast. And after my Tornado experience, I was like, you know what? I'll try something that actually has breakfast food in it. And they have these, they call it a country biscuit. And what it is, it's your regular biscuit, like you get at Pillsbury, you put it in the oven or whatever. They split the biscuit in half, and they put eggs, like a fried egg, just slap that bad boy in the middle of it, cooked all the way so it's not runny. And then they either do bacon or sausage. And the middle of it is good, like the egg and the bacon is good. Like bacon, I think, is like, for me, I think for all men probably, like, women have this thing with bacon where it's like, well, I like mine either it's got to be burnt to the crisp or it has to be really chewy at the end.
No.
For a guy, it's like, it's fucking bacon. It's like, that's what fuels us through the day, is hatred, sex, and bacon. Like, that's what does it. So, the bacon was good, the eggs were good, but the fucking biscuit was like cardboard. It was like I had taken a box from work and like just started peeling off parts boxes and started chewing on cardboard. That's what the biscuits taste like.
Yes.
It's not pleasant. You shouldn't ever have that. But the middle is good. I don't think I'd spend... And the other thing, too, it's fucking like, it's $8 for one biscuit. And I'm like, motherfuckers, like, I could have almost 2 fat tires at Time Out for that. Why would I have your shitty-ass biscuit? But when you're hungry, money isn't an object. So, there you have it. What else did you want to talk about? Or did you have more terrible food stories?
No, that was pretty much it. I was pretty pissed off the other night at a local establishment that most of you are going to know. We went to fucking Hacienda, which I absolutely love. I love their chips and salsa, their cheese and bean, fucking like little cup mixture is great. We frequent there quite often because my wife is pregnant and absolutely loves the place. But when it takes me 10 fucking minutes to get a beer in a place that isn't busy, that pisses me off. And then when we sit there for a good half hour or better, and you get multiple refills for everybody else and don't even fucking ask me until we are literally finished with the meal, would you like another beer? No, I don't want another beer. I want you to go fuck yourself. That's what I want you to do.
Maybe she knew that you were a raging alcoholic, was like, I've got to keep this guy in check. Like, some people just know that. It's like, this guy's a drunkard and we can't have him.
Oh, Absolutely. I guess. So, then what happened tonight?
Oh yes, we
We struck out this weekend.
we didn't strike out this weekend. We just struck out with where we went to go eat. So Zach and I did go to the Buffalo Wild Wings on the east side of Evansville, which I think everyone has the understanding that it's a shitty place to go eat, and the main reason for that is because their service sucks dick. So, and I mean literally, like, it's the worst place to go eat. It doesn't matter, like, if B-Dubs is your favorite restaurant in the world and you think the wings are sent from heaven. The servers there fucking suck. And I know people that have worked there that I am no longer friends with, so I can also say this service fucking sucks.
Yes.
So, with that being said, Zach and I go in there, we sit down. The first problem that we have is that you're in a sports bar. And what was on the TV, Zach?
MSNBC on every fucking, like, it was ABC, NBC. It was politics. Like, I looked around and almost just got cringeworthy. Listen, we keep this show politics free for 99.9% of it. When I go to a sports bar and you have sports memorabilia on the wall and I'm supposed to be watching sports, I don't give a fuck if it's cricket. It's a sport. I sure as fuck don't want to hear about the local propaganda channel pumping false information into my fucking noggin.
It's like all of a sudden, like, people that come in with, your Jordan jerseys, or, there are a lot of Hoosiers out there, so you've got, Bobby Knight fans, and I don't know any other Hoosiers. Help me out.
That's about it.
Okay, so,
I don't either.
People come in Notre Dame, UK gear, whatever, like, all of a sudden, like, you start seeing people come in with Make America Great Again hats and all sorts of shit, and it's like, well, like, I didn't come here to watch MSNBC and talk about everything wrong that's going on with the world. I came here to have a beer, eat some decent wings, and to watch some sports, regardless of what it is, whether I like it or not. Like, men like to watch sports. It doesn't matter. Like, I hate NASCAR, but if it's on, fuck it, I'll watch it. Maybe an explosion will happen. So maybe someone will die. Like,
maybe someone will die in a horrible, terrible wreck.
That sounds cool to me. Why the fuck not? So, that was really shitty. But then we have the server come up to us. We go down, and at the bar at the east side, you can just go into the bar side and just sit down. We went in there, and we sat down at a table, and there was a young lady about 2 or 3 tables away from us. It looked like it was a server that was off work. She was sitting there playing on her phone, didn't have her apron on, nothing like that. And then 10 minutes roll by, she notices we're sitting there, and she comes in and she serves us. So kind of took me off guard, because I was like, oh, like, maybe she's, being a responsible server even though she's off, and just hooking us up till the other person gets here. Like, it's like one of those things, you don't know the situation yet. Well, then we find out that, no, homie, this is her shift. She just fucking sucks. Because, like, she'd go get us our beers and then got our orders, then sat down at a table next to us and just sat there and played on her phone. Like, didn't even go see anybody else. Like, other people came into the bar or came and sat down at a table. Like, no one would fucking talk to her. Or she wouldn't go talk to anybody, I should say. Mm-hmm. And that was just a fucking cool thing to do. And every time she came and talked to us, she was just real shitty. Zach and I were nice, asked her how her day was and whatnot. The thing that really pissed me off, though, was at the end of it. She gets our checks back and everything after we've already paid, and we fill everything out, and she's like, all right, you guys have a nice weekend. And we're like, hey, you have a nice weekend too. Like, still being nice even though your service was shitty and you don't look like you're trying to work at all. And she just goes, yeah, see you guys later. It's like, bitch, we were nice to you. Like, I'm sorry if you're having a bad day, but I've been a server and I know people that are servers, and it's like, as long as you're cool and calm and polite, like, you'll get a big ass tip. We'll always be nice to you because we know what the server life is like. We've all been there. We get it. Like, sometimes you have shitty days, but if you're cool, then cool people will take care of you. And That's like server 101. No matter how bad it gets, as long as you're polite and honest, or like even if you cut a joke or say, "Hey, sorry, my day's shitty," and like just kind of talk. People will respect you and be cool, and like we won't make your day any more shitty. We might even make it better.
Yeah, but you ain't got to be a douchebag about it.
Yeah, and she was just a total bitch about it. Like she let whatever was bothering her just ruin her entire night. So, just kind of shitty. Don't. And of course, everyone in Evansville knows this. Don't go to the East Side B-Dubs unless you just absolutely have to. Which we were under time constraints, so we had to. But, go to the West Side. It's much better there if you don't already know that. Yeah.
Exactly.
Don't ruin yourself with that.
What else we got? What else do we have this
So the Bulls, just a quick thing on them. They've been pretty hot after the All-Star break. They've won, I think, 3 out of their last 4 games. They did beat the Golden State Warriors pretty decisively. I think it was 97-89. Something like that. They were on TNT, which, interesting fact about the Bulls, they have a TNT streak, which basically means that every time they've ever had a game on TNT, they've never lost. I think it's the past 27 games they've had on TNT, they don't lose.
Nice.
So I don't know if there's something there, but, TNT, if you want to pick up the Bulls a little more, I will definitely appreciate it.
We got spring training ball going on.
Spring training is going on. It's the Cardinals have picked up a couple more pitchers
Because they've lost a couple other pitchers.
Yeah, their pitching's not going to be as good as this year as what it's been in previous years.
And it wasn't good last year.
Well, we had injuries last year. We struggled a lot last year due to injury. I mean, there was just no. Every Cards fan, most baseball fans know it because Cardinals are usually a powerhouse and we're always in the playoffs. But we had a lot of injuries and things like that, and it just wasn't going to play out in our favor. Thank God for Yachty. He's always going to get us some sweet runs. So, and he's also probably the best catcher in baseball right now.
I thought he was retiring this year.
I don't think so. I would have to double check on that, but I think he's still.
He's getting old, isn't he?
It doesn't matter. If you're the best, you're the best, boss.
True. He'll be a definite Hall of Famer, as much as it hurts my heart to say it, because I fucking don't like the Cardinals. I'm Cubby Blue till the day I die.
You've got it. You have a world title after 300 years, so you should be happy.
I do. It's not 300 years, you fucking dick.
I'm sorry. How many years was it?
I don't fucking. 108.
Oh, hadn't been that long for us.
No,
20
yet
games.
you still weren't even in the conversation this year. You were 20 games back from first place.
As I told you, injuries.
20 games back from first.
People get injured. Kevin Durant gets injured. The Warriors fall apart for some reason.
They lost 2 games. They did. They weren't 20 games. I'm pretty sure probably still.
What
in
if
first
they
place.
lose every game after tonight?
Well, they'd still be in the playoffs. They have pretty much guaranteed. Yeah. They have over 50 wins.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They're well above 500. Like they're 50, 51, and 11. So they'd be all right. They would still be 20 games over 500 for the most part.
They'd lose top seed easily.
Well, yeah, but I mean, then you just get easier. Yeah. I digress.
Not if you get the 8th seed and have to play the number 1.
Which is always fucked up, isn't it? Like, it's like, hey, let's bounce this gutter trash out real quick. Let's give the number 1 guys a real easy way in.
No, I mean, I like it because it gives the underdog effect.
Yeah.
Like, if you have someone that is really shitty and they can somehow pull off 4 wins, then they fucking deserve it. Like, some teams, too, as well, like, really bad teams typically match up better against some all-star teams. To give you an example, not that the Bulls are a bad and shitty team, but the Bulls...
They're 500.
They're 500. The Bulls, though, they match up really well against the powerhouse that is the Cleveland Cavaliers. Because they've, every game this year, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but every time they played them this year, they beat them. LeBron or not.
I believe so.
So they actually, like, if Bulls slip into 7 or 8, which is where they're at right now, I think they're at 7. If they play the Cavs, they actually have a good chance of beating them because they've pretty much stomped them during the regular season. I don't know what it is. Maybe D-Wade has slipped in something in LeBron's drink before it goes out, but Old man Wade's got his magic. That's all that matters.
True. So, man, we have covered a lot on this podcast. One, it was great to have you back, finally, even though you were only gone for a week. It's always good to have the tag team partner back in the house.
Finally, the legend of the Bluegrass has come back to the main event.
So, it was nice to have you. Unfortunately, for all of you who watched Fastlane, it was a C+, B- type pay-per-view with a lot of... predictable endings, if you will. Hit us up on our Facebook, on our friggin', Snapchats, on our different things. Tell us what we talked about tonight. Tell us what you've tried that was good. If you've tried Pappy Van Winkle, what was your idea of it? Did you enjoy it? Do you think it was overrated? Which I would think you were high if you said that. Tell us what is the worst absolute garbage you've ever bought at a gas station and how you choked it down in necessity. And, just like anything else, man, go to iTunes, go to Google, leave a 5-star rating if you like the show, or 4-star.
5 stars.
Yeah, well, preferably. Tell us what you like, and push us out there to your friends. We do it as a labor of love. We ain't making no money off of it. We're trying to get it up and going, and we just like bringing this format to you. So hopefully we got you guys listening.
Definitely, guys. Remember, if you want to email us, check us out at The Main Event at Gmail, or themainevent45@gmail.com. Our Snapchat is simply Our Main Event. If you want to check us out on Google Play or iTunes, just search The Main Event. We're going to be the logo that has the wrestling ring, and in the middle of the wrestling ring it says in The Main Event in red, white, and blue. Check us out on SoundCloud, same thing. Search us the same way, same logo. Check us out on YouTube as well. If anybody, like I said, if you can't find it, please, any friends that are friends with me on Facebook or whatnot, or Zach as well, hit us up. I've had a couple of guys tell me they had a little trouble finding me. Just tell me, say, hey, Evan, I need the link to The Main Event, and I will get it on whatever format you prefer, and I will have it sent to you. The biggest thing right now, if you want to help support us and hopefully, support other companies like Beverage Barn in the future, please drop us by on Facebook, send us a like, follow us, contribute to the show, email us, so that way we have more we can bring to you. The more interaction we have with the fans, the more that we can reach out to you guys, and you guys reach out and talk back to us, the more cool stuff we can do. Zach and I have a lot of good ideas we'd like to do, but we need we need to have a larger following. We've got a lot of good numbers for plays and subscriptions on YouTube, Google Play, and on iTunes, and on SoundCloud, but the thing is that we need your interaction. We need you guys to email us. Again, themainevent45@gmail.com. Email us, ask us a question, comment on the show, talk about something you want us to bring up, and we'll talk about it. And hell, even if you want to be on the show, like if you just really know your wits about a certain topic, we'll bring you on the show. We're all about bringing the community in Henderson, Evansville, Owensboro area. So, again, guys, hit us up. We definitely appreciate it. Anything that you guys can do for us.
Absolutely. Tune in next week for an upgraded episode. A review of Raw and SmackDown and whatever the hell is going through our heads. Hope you guys have a wonderful week. We love you. We mean it.
Bye, guys.